The first cause must necessarily be self-existent. The search for the ultimate cause of the universe inevitably leads us to confront the concept of a first cause, the fundamental source that explains the existence of everything else. However, this raises a profound issue. What kind of first cause could account for the universe and everything within it? Here, we will explore why the first cause must necessarily be self-existent, independent of anything else, and how this points toward the existence of God. 1. The principle of causality and the search for a first cause. The principle of causality states that everything that begins to exist has a cause. This principle underlies both everyday reasoning and scientific inquiry. We constantly observe that events, objects, and processes within the universe are contingent. They depend on prior conditions or causes to exist. For example, a tree grows because a seed is planted, water nourishes it, and sunlight provides energy. Each of these conditions relies on other prior conditions in a seemingly endless chain of causality. However, this chain of causes cannot extend backward infinitely. If every cause were itself caused by something else, we would never arrive at a sufficient explanation for why anything exists at all. This is where the concept of a first cause becomes necessary. The first cause must be something that itself requires no cause, it must be uncaused. It must possess the power to initiate the chain of causality while not being dependent on anything outside itself. This leads us to the conclusion that the first cause must be self-existent. 2. Contingency and the need for a self-existent cause. Most things in the universe are contingent, meaning that they depend on something else for their existence. Contingent things do not have the reason for their existence within themselves. For instance, a person exists because their parents existed, and so forth. But if everything in existence were contingent, the entire universe would lack a sufficient reason for its existence. In other words, if everything were dependent on something else, we would be left with an infinite regress of causes, and no ultimate explanation could ever be reached. The only way to avoid this infinite regress is to posit the existence of a being or entity that is not contingent but necessary. A being that exists by the very nature of its being and does not depend on anything outside itself. This being is what philosophers refer to as a self-existent being. A self-existent being has the reason for its existence within its own nature. It does not need to be caused or brought into existence by anything else. The first cause, therefore, must be a self-existent being, because only something that exists necessarily and independently can account for the existence of contingent things. 3. The impossibility of an infinite regress of causes. To further understand the necessity of a self-existent first cause, let's examine the problem of an infinite regress of causes. Suppose that for every contingent thing, there was another contingent thing that caused it, stretching backward into eternity. In such a scenario, each link in the causal chain would be dependent on the link before it, but there would never be a final or ultimate cause that explains the existence of the whole chain. This creates a paradox. If there is no first cause, no self-existent being to ground the existence of contingent things, then the entire sequence of causes would be unjustified, and nothing would exist. An infinite regress of causes does not provide an explanation for why anything exists because each cause in the chain requires a prior cause. Without a self-existent first cause, there is no starting point for the chain of existence. The existence of the universe, therefore, points to the necessity of a first cause that is self-existent and independent of the chain of contingent causes. 4. What does it mean to be self-existent? A self-existent being is one that exists necessarily, meaning that its existence is not contingent upon anything else. This being exists by the necessity of its own nature. It could not fail to exist, and its existence is not dependent on external conditions or causes. Unlike contingent beings, whose existence can be explained by referring to something outside themselves, the existence of a self-existent being requires no further explanation. It simply exists, and its non-existence is impossible. This concept of self-existence is crucial for explaining the ultimate cause of everything. The first cause must be something whose nature is to exist, without needing to be brought into being. Philosophers throughout history, from Aristotle to Aquinas to modern thinkers, have recognized that this type of being must exist if we are to avoid the logical problems posed by an infinite regress of causes. 5. God as the self-existent first cause. When we reflect on the qualities that a self-existent first cause must possess, we find that it corresponds closely to the classical concept of God. Here are some key attributes of such a being. Timeless. Since time itself began with the universe, the self-existent cause must exist outside of time. This aligns with the traditional understanding of God as eternal. Immaterial. Because matter is part of the contingent universe, the self-existent cause must be immaterial, existing beyond the physical realm. Powerful. The self-existent being must possess the power to bring the entire universe into existence from nothing. This corresponds to the concept of God's omnipotence. Necessary. The self-existent being exists necessarily, meaning that it cannot not exist. This is a fundamental characteristic of the God of classical theism. Thus, self-existent first cause is not merely an abstract philosophical principle but a being that possesses the attributes traditionally associated with God. Only a self-existent, necessary being can provide the ultimate explanation for the existence of the contingent universe. 6. Objections to the necessity of a self-existent first cause. Some atheists and naturalists argue that the universe could be self-existent or that the laws of physics could somehow account for its existence. However, these explanations fail to address the underlying issue. The universe is composed of matter, energy, space, and time, all of which are contingent. The laws of physics describe the behavior of matter and energy but do not explain why they exist in the first place. The universe, as a contingent entity, cannot be self-existent because it depends on something outside itself for its existence. As we have seen, without a self-existent cause, the universe's existence remains unexplained. The laws of physics, too, are contingent. They exist within the framework of the universe and cannot serve as the cause of their own existence. Ultimately, any attempt to explain the universe without positing a self-existent first cause leads to an infinite regress or an incomplete explanation. The only satisfactory solution is the existence of a necessary, self-existent being, which transcends the universe and is not bound by its limitations. 7. Conclusion. The first cause must be self-existent. The question of why anything exists at all leads us to the necessity of a self-existent first cause. A being that is contingent cannot explain its own existence, nor can it explain the existence of the universe. The concept of a self-existent first cause, however, provides the ultimate explanation for everything that exists. This self-existent cause must exist necessarily, independently of the universe, and cannot be bound by the limitations of time, space, or matter. These qualities align perfectly with the traditional understanding of God, a timeless, immaterial, and all-powerful being who is the source of all existence. In the end, the necessity of a self-existent first cause points us directly to God, the ultimate foundation of reality, whose existence explains why there is something rather than nothing. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and comment below if you agree or would like to add your thoughts. If you would like me to respond to your comment, please make a level 1 comment directly below the video. I will respond to all polite level 1 comments even if it takes me a while, due to other commitments.